Okay, right. I've been meaning to do this for a little while, just to make things a little bit more colourful and a little bit more enjoyable. So this is the majority of the setup, the black cymbals that I have. I do also have down on the floor whilst dropping things. I also have a set of black 2000s as well. These are heavy hi-hat bottoms. The only reason I don't have these on the kit is simply I have two X hats and I have a cable hat, and I could not be bothered to get any of them out. And as you see, kind of over here, where I would normally have a second set of hats, there isn't any space either. So I'll put these on separately just so you can get an idea about them. But the interesting thing about these, I got these 2018, I think maybe. I mean, I love the way that these sound, first of all. I kind of got them without really knowing what I was getting as such. But the interesting thing about these is that unlike the Visions hats, which you can see there, they're not coloured on the bottom. These are both coloured on the bottom. So that was obviously something that Paiste was doing in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. It is an interesting feature though. As I said, I've got a number of I've got these black ones, I've got a set of white ones which were custom made for me. I've got blue and red 900s as well, and they are all like the Visions. They're not coated on the underside. So these are the only set of ColorSounds that I have which have got colour on the bottom as well. Obviously it's going to have an effect on the sound, but right, so the other black cymbal which I do have sat down there, which you've already seen, is the Paiste Psycho Octopus Gigabell ride. And if I'd have had, I mean, I've got extra cymbal stands and things, but it was a matter of just digging them out, and then if I put another ride up over here on the left, kind of end up with having even less space in here, so that can stay down there for now. But these are all a mixture of 2000s Visions, and then there's a couple of the black 900s as well. So over on the left we have a 12-inch ColorSound 2000, and to be honest, I mean, funnily enough, I got this and I got, I think it was a Zildjian K 12-inch on the same day. In fact, I think it was within hours of each other off of eBay. I was never really much of a 12-inch splash kind of person up until a few years ago, and then I've got a whole bunch of the damn things now. I've got a 2002 somewhere as well. I think I've got another Paiste 12 as well, but I can't quite remember what it was. But anyway, so you've got the 12-inch splash, kind of, as you'll hear, it's kind of, it's not the splashiest splash I have. Admittedly, by the time you get to a 12-inch size, they're kind of going to be, sometimes they have a tendency to sort of get into a more small crash area if they're a little too thick. To be honest, I think this is possibly a little too thick. But I don't care. I mean, it's fine. I mean, the finish on some of these is a little worn. As I've said many times before, I don't care. I'm more into what it sounds like. And to be honest, if you're in the crowd, you're not going to see. You're just going to see black cymbals. Over here, secondly, you've got a 14-inch Visions China. Again, it's a little bit rough on the playing side, but you've got the bottom's pretty good. A Visions, and I got this actually fairly recently, within the last sort of 5 years or so. I have a Visions 6.5-inch cup chime, which I got at the time these were out. I've always kind of liked to get things while they're out and about, and when you can buy them with no particular weight. I've got a feeling that may have been a bit of a special order through Premier, who were the UK distributors of Paiste, certainly in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I mean, that's there. I don't use it very often. I've got another cup chime as well, a slightly bigger one in a regular finish, but it's there and it's kind of fun. So next you've got a 15-inch Visions Crash. It's a Visions 15-inch thin crash actually. Now I picked this up in I think it was the late part of 2018, and I got it with the 16, which is just behind me over there. And they had they were both on eBay, and as with many things on eBay, I took a bit of a chance and I put an offer in. I think they were up for something like 60 quid for this. Starting bid was like 60 quid for that and 70 quid for the other one, and I basically made an offer of £10 over that, and the gentleman very graciously accepted, which I was very happy about, and I went up to his house and I had a sit and chat with him for a couple of hours, I think it was actually. But I do love these crashes. They're like I said, they're thin, they sound thin, but they sound great together. And I have used them. Actually, I don't normally use a 15 and a 16 if I'm going to use two crashes. I would normally use a 16 and 18, but I've used those two together. I think they sound great as a pair, and I've never been I've never felt that the 15 was lacking in any sort of volume or power when I needed it, when I have used them as a pair. So on to the first of two ColorSound 900s. This is an 18. The one over my shoulder, which I'll come to in a minute, is a 19. I will do a separate video on the ColorSound 19s, the ColorSound 900s. I've got a whole bunch of them actually. I've got you know, rides, a couple of set of hats, a few crashes, and in fact I've actually got this model twice. I've got this in black and blue. That's how bad I am. Sad I am really, but. I think the 900 line has some high points, it has some lower points. I think the smaller crashes are some of the lower points for me. I think possibly the splash as well, just a little too thick. I mean, these as well, I'm going to have to get a rood out. I've got some roods. I'm going to have to get a rood out and see how the rood sounds against this. I think these are great looking cymbals. I think they're great sounding cymbals, but only to a point. Personally, I think these crashes should be labelled more heavy crash. They're a little too thick for my liking, but for the sake of filling out my, because I bought these before I got the Visions, and for the sake of filling out my little set of black cymbals, I was happy to take the hit, and these were a lot more agreeable, or it was more agreeable price wise to buy this 18, this 19 than custom order some 2002s or wait around till I found something in the Visions line. So that's that. So next, Visions hi-hats. These are 13-inch full hats. As you can kind of see there, there's virtually no markings on it. In fact, well, the only markings that are on there are actually stick markings, really. Like I said, there's nothing on the bottom there. The bottom cymbal, though, is in much more... There you go. So that's in much more sort of full regala type situation. It's obviously you don't hit the bottom, but yeah, I mean, sound-wise though, I've always loved these hi-hats. There's just something about them. They're magical. The signature bronze. They've got the signature. They've got the signature. You know, sort of lathing and styling on it, and I just really like these hats. I really do. So going round over to here, and I'll just slip the camera over a bit so you can see. So Visions 20-inch full ride. I've had this forever. This I don't even remember where I got it from. Again, it's basically like a black signature, which I've always liked. It's got a good strong bell sound. Good ride cymbal in my book. It's got a good strong bell sound, it's got a good clear bow sound, and you can crash it and there's not too much build up. The overtones are nice and even, and you know, they don't swell or yeah, there's nothing funny about them. So, you know, great ride cymbal in my book. Over to the 19, as I said, I got this as the pair to the 18. It's fine, it's just, like I said, I just think a little I mean, for what you're going to use these for, I think, you know, I bought these, I started buying these and then continued buying them really because they're black, they're cool, they look different. And I dig that. I like standing out a little bit sometimes. So, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only drummer I've ever seen in any sort of pub or club turning up with different coloured cymbals. So, hey, if you see an idiot around London somewhere, or rather if you see a drum kit with different coloured cymbals around London somewhere, chances are it's probably mine. Like I said, I think these are just, they're a little too thick, or they're possibly wrongly named. But so over to the Visions 16. I love these sounds. They just sound. I've never really been a thin crash type person, simply because I was always worrying about denting them or something. But they sound great. As I said, they sound wonderful together. And down the bottom here, I mean, this was fairly cheap. I can't remember how much I did pay for it in the end, but I mean, it's a little scuffed up on the playing side. It's an 18-inch 2000. You know what? It's my very first China, which I picked up from Chas Foot in London when it was in Golden Square. So those of you in London that remember that. When it was in the second location in Golden Square, I picked up that red ColorSound 5 China, which I still have, and I paid the princely sum of 30 quid for that ColorSound 5, which will obviously be a whole lot more now because it's 30 something years ago. Yeah, pretty much, yeah, 30 odd years ago, maybe about 32 years ago, something like that. I've had it a long time. You know, I remember thinking at the time, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford a China cymbal. Which you don't think when you're young and stupid and in your teens, you don't tend to think more than 5 minutes in front, and like that you might get a job or something. But you know, this kind of the same sound as the ColorSound 5, but in black, and it just rounds it off. I mean, it's just. I'm never going to stop buying black cymbals. I don't know if I would buy any more of the 900s, but if I ever see a Visions knocking around somewhere, or a ColorSound 5, or you know, a 2000, chances are I'll probably put a bid on it somewhere along the line. But anyway, this is what they all sound like. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again.